Well, hello, 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 my Pisces collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Welcome to your new moon to full moon reading for February into March 2020. I am your reader, Mark Angelo Lyons, Mal for short, president of DrawingTheCircle Productions, professional witch, professional intuitive, and YouTuber. Very much enjoying myself. And by the way, a Pisces moon. So very, very happy to be working for all of us tonight in the collective. If you are new to the channel, please do like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I'm putting out stuff pretty much every day, taking a day off here and there to take clients and teach and stuff like that. But that aside, let's get down to business, shall we? This is a general read for the Pisces collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign. We're only doing 8 cards, so we're not looking at huge revelations, just some things to keep an eye on for this full moon in Pisces, our sign, to the next new moon in March, which will be, the moon will be in Virgo. And what is very interesting, it's also during Mercury retrograde, and it will go direct on full moon the 9th. So just keep that in mind as we go, over the next couple of weeks, even though we will be in a waxing moon cycle, or half cycle, I guess you could say, there's still that retrograde, having to relook, rethink, redo, revisit, all of that, which is what this spread is for. We're actually not doing the usual what do I need read, which is why I I didn't put it in the title, though I'm going to put it in the what do I need playlist. New moon to full, but so that we can have a look at things during Mercury retrograde with an element spread. That is in the title. Fire, earth, air, water, spirit. You'll see what that's all about. But before we get there, just remember to breathe as always. It's the big thing on my channel. Conscious breathing, inspiration through respiration. Be in the present moment. Tune to the divine in the still point of the here and now, and ring that silent bell of the heart. That's where the divine is, and that's where all of these good vibes are coming from, all the guidance and grace, keeping in mind that everything is happening for us. And by the way, you might want to check out your Mercury retrograde reading in tandem with this one. The idea is that they're all supposed to make sense together, even though I don't see how, except the quantum and the divine working in tandem, right? So let's get down to business. We're going to get one card from the Healing with the Angels Oracle by Doreen Virtue, sort of kick us off. Then we're going to get 5 Daughters of the Moon tarot cards for Fire, Earth, Air, Water, Spirit. You'll see when we get there. A Whisper of Love card, and then a Healing Mantra deck card from Matt Kahn. So 8 in total. Nice deep breath. Here we go. My angels, please, one card in clarity for the Pisces collective Sun, Moon, Rising, and Mercury signs, because Mercury is retrograde during this one. Please, one card. What is the overlighting angelic point of view of what we need to look at during this Mercury retrograde, what we need to focus on, what we need to heal, what we need to wax from new to full this February new moon to March full moon, right? New to full. Here we go, my Pisceans. We need to focus on trust, and certainly during a Mercury retrograde, trust is so much mental math, so to speak, right? It's like, well, can I trust this person? It's all trying to do that all up here, but Pisces being the intuitive, very deep and almost always mystical sign, that we're okay with dealing with some of the larger mysteries of life, as emotional as we may be, but for us, emotion is more of a feeling thing usually than a thought thing, right? Because you can do the math and say, oh, this person's never lied to me ever in my life that you're aware of, right? And then, you know, intuitively one day they're saying something, but then what you're feeling underneath it is completely opposite, right? So trust is more of a feeling thing for us. So whether this is about trusting ourselves, trusting the process, trusting others, trusting the divine plan, faith kind of stuff, definitely that is highlighted and will be part of our healing, as everything is happening for us, whether we know it or not, but do we trust that as truth? Let's take the Daughters of the Moon tarot to be the voices of my gods. We got the angels. Let's ask the deities. By the way, all the cards that all the decks, I should say, that I read are in the description box below. So go have a look. On your way down, you'll see other cool stuff in my description box, because I'm a Virgo. I can give good description box. Let's get into this gig. Daughters of the Moon Tarot, the voices of my gods and goddesses. Nice deep breath. Oh, that still point is so lovely. Oh, my gods and goddesses, please. 5 cards, one at a time. We'll take them one at a time as we go for this Piscean collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury sign. Did I say Venus sign for for that angel card? They know it's Mercury sign. I bless the cards before I do this, but I will try and be mindful of that. So please, my gods and goddesses, clarity on my side of things. Fire, earth, air, water, spirit. We'll pull them one at a time for this Piscean collective Sun, Moon, okay, Rising, Mercury sign. For this new moon in February, new moon in Pisces to full moon in Virgo in March. Considering Mercury retrograde and all, can we get for this Piscean collective element of fire? What's the desire that we need to revisit, relook at, rethink about, refeel? What is our element of earth, what we have that we need to review, retrograde, take a little look at, seeing how things are going, if they are waxing and growing the way we think they will be or should be. Element of air, what is it that we need to relook at in our own thoughts, our belief systems, what it is we think and say. Element of air. And how about our element of water here, considering we are water signs, Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury, right, and all that Piscean stuff. Please, one for our element of water. And finally, a card for spirit. What is the voice of the soul, or the soul's perspective for this new moon to full moon next Mercury retrograde and all? All right, we've got them on the table. Let's see what happens. Okay, well, what it is that we want is we've got the Taurus card. Now, Taurus second house, whether or not this might be a Taurus person, court cards usually are, but not always. And as I tune to this, it does feel like what the Piscean collective kind of wants this new moon, full moon next, what they need to focus on to grow, to wax from new to full, has to do with something of lifelong value for them, something that they have always either wanted or something that they have always valued that may be in reach, but that might take a little while, a little bit of loyalty, a little bit of fertility, a little extra cash, a little extra abundance to pull off, because it's something of such high value. That it would take a period of time, feeling that, for it to go from seed to full fruition. More than certainly 14 days, but that it's something that definitely they need to relook at in terms of how deeply do I value that in terms of my life. Like, for example, we all want to go out into the world and experience good things and new foods and stuff like that. For some people, though, that is a true lifelong value, not just something that's nice as a break, right? So for somebody, I'll travel next year if I can't do it this year. But for other people, that wanderlust, that exploration thing is such a soul drive. It's a lifelong thing that might be, they work all year long just for that getaway, that exploration of another place. So life values shift and change from person to person. But that is the feeling that I'm getting on this. This is something that they really want. That has been lifelong. It may manifest itself in different ways, just like fertile soil can manifest many different plants, I guess you could say. But the really lovely feeling I get with this is something solid and strong that they want. So what's the element of earth that will help them get what they want, their fire? In other words, the wax and wick of the candle that feeds the fire of the flame. So what do they got going for them there? All right. The Ten of Blades, the completion of air in the minor arcana, about resolution. Like, they've done their research, right? The Pisceans have done their research. They've heard all of the different voices within them. In other words, all of their different opinions and thoughts, and we will certainly look in the next position. because we have a completion, like a complete, okay, I've done my research and now here is my conclusion. This is the Native American ceremony of the rattle, contemporarily known as the talking stick, right? You pass the talking stick, and the only person who can talk is the one who has the talking stick, in this case the rattle, until it makes its way all the way around, and you cannot talk unless you have the talking stick, but you have to pay attention. That's how tribes sort of get to hear everybody. It's sort of like court, but not so much a guilty, innocent verdict as the end game there, but as that all the pieces of the puzzle are on the table for resolution and clarity, right? Cool. What's the element of air then? Well, this is interesting because in the element of air, we've got the card of Shakti, the life dancer, the card of the universe or the world in this deck, the last card of the major arcana before it reboots at the Fool and then the Magician, and around she goes again. So there is definitely the looking at closing out some sort of phase here, some sort of cycle, at least in the mind. Now, that could very much be from new moon to full moon, just about ending the Mercury retrograde, but we know that there is stuff that goes on that lingers after the actual day itself, as I said, will be full moon, March 9th. But that in life in general, it feels like in the major arcana of the mind, that whatever this completion is that is going on, that is what you have to help you get the thing that, or at least experience the thing that you want as a lifelong value. This may very well be a completion of a belief system in your life that you evolve past. Sort of like the rules that you have to play by to get to a certain place in life, and then you've achieved it, and then there's a whole other new set of rules, like the difference between dating and then being in a relationship, a committed relationship, something like that. And keep in mind with the overlighting thing here of trust that we may very well be healing our trust here. So something of value that we get some information on, some resolution about, may very well be in our lives right now. We just kind of have to allow the pieces of the puzzle to come in and integrate. And with that gives some sort of shift in terms of our mental world of really ending one chapter and beginning another. Very interesting. What's going on emotionally? Emotionally here, this does make sense. Our second major arcana card, this is the card of the Emperor and the Hierophant. That's the way this deck does it. Compiles both of them into one. The great god Pan. Now, technically the son of Hermes and a goat, but that's I guess the minor Pan. To me, they're all the same Pan, the pots and pans. I love Pan, horny little goat god, but he really is the face, the masculine face of nature. We think of Mother Earth. This is I guess you want to say Father Nature, maybe, but more, I mean, that's a chain of garden stores here on Long Island, but more along that thing of like the hoof and horn, right? The wild man, the green man, right? Pan with his pan flute. So there's definitely a feeling here of rulership of life, of following procedures, but perhaps more of an intuitional, emotional one, right? Like the Emperor has strategy, the High Priest has levels and procedures, right? So the Emperor sits back and kind of plays chess with other kingdoms, because that's what an emperor is above a king. So the Emperor plays chess with entire kingdoms, where the Hierophant is all about the next stage, like how do you become essentially the High Priest, the Pope, but that can be any form of conformity, that's a little tricky to say, but like learning a language, right? You start with the nouns, then you start with the verbs. It's definitely some kind of learning process going on here, but one that's more intuitively, emotionally fed or guided. Something to look into, to revisit emotionally, maybe even some emotional healing or process work, whether it's counseling or rebirthing or dream work, what have you. But something that will elicit or already has, let's hope, your trust. What's the voice of spirit, the point of view of your soul? Because the soul is saying you're going through a death phase. So let's just say here, the card of the Phoenix in this deck, I love it so much. It's more about rising from the ashes than going to. But it is a transformation, and we're sort of seeing that in the mental field, but that the emotional field has sort of a process, a system, a means in order to weather this wisely and well, though you might not have known you're going through a death transformation, and sometimes they can happen really quickly. You may not realize the ramifications of that through the rising of the ashes for weeks and even months afterwards. So to really get all the pieces of the puzzle on the table so you have some sort of mental understanding that will help you get something you value, but understand there is a bigger life transformation in place. And just to say it to get out of the way to people who might be new, if the death card meant physical death all the time, it would be the last card in the major arcana, which is this one, not the 13th, which is what it usually is, which is a little more than halfway through the cycle of 22 cards in the major arcana. And even if this did represent an ending that way, there's either a constant thinking about ending this cycle, which I guess could make sense during a Mercury retrograde, but more what I'm getting here intuitively is this deeper sense of an ending of a belief pattern or thought that may, like you looked at things as a child when you were a child, and now that you're an adult, you see it differently. Like seeing my parents, like they're being raised by, I guess what I call them, Zeus and Hera. I mean, a teacher and a lawyer. I never won any arguments, which, by the way, made me wicked fucking verbal and very intuitive, right? But now it's like we all get along. We're all friends. It's like I understand. I was a wild child. They couldn't watch me everywhere I went. They didn't have the technology for it in the 80s. But you sort of get the idea, right? They had to try and, without squashing my spirit, it was the 80s, 70s and the 80s, to make sure that I had the boundaries and the constraints. But I see it differently, obviously now, and have for a long time. So a transformation going on the soul level that you might not even be aware of, but something involving the healing of your trust where you see things differently. And maybe that is the trust that everything in this world is happening to help the soul evolve, even when it's going to and rising from ashes. We've got 2 more cards left, which I really, really love about the spread this time around. It's relatively quick, right? That's what we're shooting for here, quick, but enough information for you to have some what's that called? Landmarks on the journey through this next new moon to full moon, considering that Mercury going direct the day of full moon, right? Right? Because how are you going to manifest if you got to rethink everything? It's like trying to go forwards while also going backwards. So let's ask your higher self, mine as well, through one Whisper of Love Oracle. Nice deep breath, please. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, the higher selves have all involved in the still point, please. One card in clarity, a whisper of love for this Piscean collective. Oh, I feel you, sun, moon, rising. Oh, my higher self, I love you, sun, moon, rising. Mercury signs for this new moon in Pisces to full moon in Virgo. In March, when Mercury goes direct, please, a whisper of love. What's your point of view? What is it that we need to revisit, relook at, re-deal with in this retrograde as the moon waxes? Be willing to express love. When we express love, we begin to receive more love. Now, why that's tricky is because we're in a Mercury retrograde, and expressing love might be really weird coming out your mouth. Someone might not hear it the way you mean. You would say, I love you, and they'd be like, oh, don't you know that I'm with somebody? And it's like, well, I didn't mean it like that. And it's like this old story. Guy comes into work, the subways were shut down, the trains were shut down, his boss is already there, he walks and he says, oh my God, how did you get here today? And she looks at him and she says, work. A lot of hard work, a lot of coffee and cigarette mornings, a lot of kissing ass to get where I am. He said, no, I mean, how did you get here today? Did you walk? Did you take a cab? It's like that. Be willing to express love. That's like such a Mercury retrograde example, right? People go off. It's like so not what I meant, but I'm just going to back away, right? So be willing to express love, but remember that can be done through all sorts of different ways, right? It doesn't just have to be done verbally. It can be certainly done through a gift, through things like that. But even just listening, right? Like it says, be willing to express love. There are many ways to do this, and considering that you are kind of doing this systemic learning, rulership, kind of watching your emotions in that sense, while pieces of information are hitting the table, that would make sense still. Even though you're going through this, be willing, trust your spirit to be willing to express love, even if it's a kindness, right? A thank you. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for your, like that sort of thing. Express love in those kind of kind and compassionate ways. You feeling me? I think you are. Last card down. Let's get you a healing mantra deck card from the Matt Kahn Healing Mantras. I love these cards. One side of the card is the mantra. The second side, there are only two sides, dude. The other side is the name of the mantra, so I can look it up in the book for you, which I will do. Cool. Nice deep breath. Here we go. Still point. My Ascended Masters, please, just one card, a healing mantra card for this Piscean collective. There you are. Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury sign for this new moon in Pisces, their moon sign, their new moon to the Virgo full moon and Mercury direct March 9th. Please, what is the perfect healing mantra for them to keep in mind, considering the mind is ending a cycle with that card of Shakti, the life dancer? What's the perfect mantra for the Piscean collective? Let's see who we got here. Honoring adversity. A fire reveals a path of renewed direction once the burning is complete. I know exactly what that means. I've had that experience. Honoring adversity, to get that what you're going through. Well, now I kind of see it, huh? It's like with this Ten of Blades, right? Like that you're getting resolution about something maybe really, really hard to what? Resolve, right? Honoring adversity, trying to resolve all of that burning and transformation as a cycle completes, seeing this completely differently and keeping in mind that here are the fires of transformation in the soul. You're probably going through, I think being a Pisces, I can feel that. There's so much going on here that just to keep up with the evolution of the planet, we're transforming so much so quickly. It's sort of, I used to say this at certain points in my career spiritually, not just as a teacher or a reader, but, on your personal path. It's like, I feel like I'm dying during the week and being reborn on the weekends to die during the week. I mean, like it's that constant phase of death and rebirth kind of initiation, waxing and waning on a very rapid schedule. So let me read this one to you. This one's really, really good. I'll get it in the book. A fire reveals a path of renewed direction once the burning is complete. Honoring adversity. 1 second, please. H-E, it's alphabetical. Honoring adversity. A fire reveals a path of renewed direction once the burning is complete. When adversity is honored, life is appreciated as oscillating cycles of deterioration and renewal. Deterioration is the natural process of new things becoming old, while renewal is the process of old things becoming new. It's cyclic, right? It is the process of death and rebirth. Exactly that. Rising from ashes, and then ashes being the fertilizer of the new forest being reborn. As you learn to honor these two interconnected processes, just as naturally as the changing of seasons, you are able to embrace adversity. It is not a punishment, but a gift of renewal birthed out of the ashes of erosion. So even talking of rising from ashes, birth and rebirth out of the ashes, literally written in the description here. This mantra is ideal for processing unforeseen changes, Mercury retrograde, overcoming superstitious beliefs, Mercury retrograde, Mercury retrograde. It's like, well, it better not. Like, that's not a real healthy way to live either. And surrendering the ego, which is going to kind of choose fear and apprehension about anything that's going to move you forward, considering that what's really our key word here, oh, sorry, I grabbed the wrong card, trust, right? So this is totally about you trusting that, sure, you're going through the fires of transformation, but at the same time, those fires are revealing a path of renewed direction once the burning is complete. So there you have it, my Piscean collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury sign. There's your reading for this new moon in Pisces to full moon next in Virgo, with Mercury going direct the day of. Wishing you the very best and the very blessed of this new moon to full moon next. But for now, hail, farewell, and blessed, blessed be.